Okay, at 6 o'clock, we'll call the meeting to order for the April meeting. Everybody please stand, renew your hats, and say the pledge of allegiance. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. There we go. I think I got the microphone on now. All right. Is there any items on the agenda you want removed or pulled? I actually do have one that I'd like to have pulled, and that is item number 17. I need an update from our attorney. Okay. So I'd like to pull number 17 off the agenda.
I didn't reach out to them, I haven't gotten back yet.
Anything else? Do we have a motion to approve the agenda with that change? Not necessarily in that order. So moved. Motion by Dan.
I'll second that.
Second by Susan to approve the agenda. All those, any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion carries 5-0. All right, consent agenda. Is there anything in the minutes, building inspector's report, treasurer's report, fire calls, animal control report, or operator licenses that need separate consideration and we would like to hold? Anybody?
The minutes of March 4th town board meeting.
You'd like to pull those?
Yes.
Okay. With that exception, is there a motion to accept the remainder of the consent agenda as proposed?
So,
Motion by Mr. Jordan. Second by Mr. Barzal. Any discussion on the items on the consent agenda excluding the minutes? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. So let's talk about the minutes.
Okay, and my focus is on an area actually that Supervisor Jordan has commented on, so I'm actually playing with his words a little bit, but I'm on page 3, the last paragraph, and it should be a little bit clearer. So what it says here is it says, Jordan said there's always a working relationship with cities, towns, and schools, and contiguous annexation makes sense. The next sentence, I think it should also, start with also, leaving out then it became, just say also, comma, unanimous annexation affects annexation. So I'm putting the two words, affects annexation in, even if the town is opposed to it, but the residents involved were in favor. And then Jordan said not, take the not out. So it just says non-unanimous annexation. He said,
which should be
I think he said no negative. And then the last sentence, we are doing the correct thing by, instead of saying things by sharing. So anyway, are you okay with that?
Absolutely. Yeah, and that should be now. And I accept all the other changes. Because those records they will be carried.
Yes, yeah, I just thought something referencing would be clearer syntax.
Would you mind making or sharing with me your changes on there, giving that sheet after?
Yes.
Perfect, thank you.
All right, so you're making a motion to make those changes. It sounds like Don seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor of amending the proposed minutes as per the motion, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. So that takes us through the consent agenda. Committee reports. Are there any committee reports from the board? We talk about fire and
We had fire EMS on March 25th. I provided the annual reports from fire and EMS to the board, so everybody should have a copy, and Mr. Clerk, I believe you also do. Just to highlight a couple of things. The response time for the town of Hudson for 2025 was 15 minutes and 14 seconds. No change, no substantial change from previous years, just a couple of seconds difference. And we had a total of 138 calls, of which most were medical assist and motor vehicle accidents. There was only 8 fire. On EMS, we had a total of 225 calls for EMS. Some of the interesting things that were discussed by Mr. Mueller was the fact that they are now carrying whole blood, so they can start giving blood on the road, which is a significant upgrade and something that's kind of unique in this area. More and more places do it, and they have to be certified to do that, so that's good. And the next thing they're going to work on is to be able to do, for cases of sepsis, to get antibiotics started on the road. They're not there yet, but that's something that they're working on getting certified. They have to be able to do a clean blood draw standard, so it gets kind of technical, but that's another kind of neat thing, because for sepsis it can make a huge difference. 10 minutes is a long time. So the fire department, the chief also updated us on what's going on with their efforts to move to a full-time part of fire department. They've got some initial estimated costs. This is in your book. Total annual estimated cost starting out at an additional $2.16 million, and allocates out to kind of an average for the town of Hudson, an additional $610,000 a year. So this is what we've been hinting and talking about a little bit, but we should start thinking about it from a budget time standpoint, how we're going to deal with this. They expect that the next year, so 2027, so this year's budget for 2027 would need to be around $250,000 because they start the full time about halfway through the year. Just as a reminder, they're going through a process right now of asking the city residents if they support a referendum to try to kind of figure out how to word that and what information is needed for city residents, and then they're planning to do a referendum at the end of this year. They'll do a 10-year referendum, and they believe they have some ways to come up with paying for their part of the fire department in the future through sales tax. Or they'll have to go back and ask for another referendum. That's all I've got.
Any comment on that?
Yep.
So the proposal, as you shared with us, has our portion identified essentially by pro rata and a head count. And I'm just thinking that to me doesn't seem quite fair, but fair in the sense that we don't have the same level of fire protection that the city does, because we don't have hydrants, and so they can't even use some of those trucks. The ladders are not really that important for us because we don't have the height. And we are paying higher insurance because we're in a lower protection zone.
Right.
So we're not getting the same level of service. So in one sense, it seems to me that we should address that in terms of our portion of that that's divided out.
Completely agree, Dan. We have a contract with the fire department, with the city actually, that was signed in 2020. The way that the payment for the fire department is calculated is it's half based on the equalized values of each district and half based on the number of calls you get. So it's not population based, it's call based. They do a 5-year average of the number of calls and figure out a percentage, and then they do the prorate or the equalized value. In one of the future agenda items here, I've actually got a little bit more detail to talk about that, because I've got some ideas for how we can maybe help ourselves and help our town.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, but you're absolutely right. Oh, and by the way, that contract runs through 2035 is the soonest date that we can give notice if we want to get out of it, and the soonest date we could get out is 2040. So if you want to build your own fire department, we should probably get working on that.
Thank you. And we do have some additional items on the agenda to talk about that relate to fire.
Yeah.
So we'll put a bit in that for now. Dan, did you have a report? Did you have any meetings?
No.
All right. Chairman's report then. Actually, since the last time it was quiet for a change, so I don't have a whole lot of things I attended or anything like that. But I do want to just simply say this. I really appreciate all the help from the citizens that we got during the election. Not just the primary spring election, but this last one was busy all day, and I just wanted to thank everybody who came from our town to help each other out. I know that Mr. Hanlos appreciates it. I know that our deputy clerk appreciates it. I know that staff appreciates it, and I just wanted to say it for me that I appreciate it. So, thank you. And if anybody has interest in being a poll worker, I would talk to those people who are doing it because they seem to enjoy it quite a bit because they keep coming back. So, anyway, so just if you want to get involved, we'll always take help from the community and do a little training and stuff. So, just a little shameless plug for coming out to help with elections if you feel like that it would be a service you want to do. Beyond that, I unfortunately got double booked tonight, so I will be leaving at 6:30. So I'll make a note of the record when that happens, but then Mr. Osterling will take over presiding the meeting. I just can't cancel this one. So anyways, public comment. If anybody would like to comment on something that is not on the agenda, then you are more than welcome to come forward at this time. The microphone's right in the middle here. Just state your name so the clerk can get it and your address, and you can have 2 minutes to tell us whatever is on your mind. Is there anybody who would like to make a public comment? Is there anyone who would like to make a public comment? Last call. Anyone like to make a public comment? We'll consider that there was none for the record. All right. Number 6, discussion action on extending offer of employment in terms of town clerk position and possible acceptance. So for everybody's benefit, we, our able-bodied clerk, Mr. Hanlos, has indicated that he will stay on through the end of April, which is a big benefit to the town, actually having him to help train a new person. And who knows, he might stay on after in a different role, but we put out an application a couple months ago then, and we had 20 applicants. So we had a lot of interest from the public. We planned to interview 8 people. We interviewed 7, as it turned out. And we had 2 workshops where they were properly in closed session to discuss, potential hires and do the interviews. And so tonight on the agenda is discussion action on extending an offer of employment with terms for the town clerk position and possible acceptance. Now, I think in terms of how we should proceed with this aspect of it, I think somebody could make a motion for the person to be hired. And then I would like to probably throw in an amendment to that sets forth the exact legal terms that we did sort of in the last go-around, so that they match up and we're using consistent language. So from the candidates, I think we have understanding that the new clerk would be compensated as if she's the clerk starting immediately during the training period, but that Mr. Hanlos would officially still be clerk until the 30 days in April, is that right? Until the 30th of April. have discussion on that. The language we used for the last time, and I'll just read it into the record, that this position would be a salary position of $66,066 a year, with an expected average weekly hours of 36.3 hours at $35 per hour. Vacations will not be permitted during election times, and the job will require 1 or 2 meetings per month or as needed, with the regular expected office hours Monday 9 to 5, Tuesday 9 to 6, Wednesday 9 to 5, except meeting days which will be longer, and Thursday 9 to 5. The clerk will have Fridays off regularly, except during election or other special meeting times. This position will include the benefit of enrolling the new clerk into the Wisconsin retirement system with the town's contributions. Vacation shall be in accordance with the town of Hudson employee handbook, subject to revision modification. The town will do an evaluation performance review at 6 months, and then after that annually. Training and certifications will be provided at town expense. So that is my offered amendment to the hiring of Ms. Duncanson. Is that acceptable to the original motion maker, Mr. Fosterman? Ms. Fosterman?
Yes, it is.
Same with you, Ms. White?
Yes.
Any discussion?
Do we need to clarify that the official start date is May 1st? Just for the record, that Nick is still clerk through the 30th.
Correct. I guess I said that in kind of a preamble, but I should put that in the motion that her start date will be immediately, but she will not take over as the clerk of record until May 1st. So with that amendment, is that okay, Mr. Foster?
Yes.
Yes.
Any further discussion? I just want to say that the candidate quality we had this year was outstanding. We had people from our community and beyond, and I think what's really important for me personally and the person to select is having not only the personality but the demeanor to successfully deal with the public in a cheerful and good way, even when sometimes it can be. I want people to have a good experience, and this person that we're hiring has an amazing personality. Has also had the benefit of some on-the-job training as the part-time deputy clerk under Mr. Hanlos. So I think this is good for continuity. It is good for the community, and I am fully in support of this person being hired. So without further discussion, we should take a vote. Do you want to do roll call?
Sure. Supervisor Fosterman?
Aye.
Supervisor White?
Aye.
Supervisor Barzel?
Aye.
Supervisor Jordan? Chairman Powell?
Aye. Well, it's unanimous. And Amanda Duncanson, if you want to come forward real quick, just come around the barrier. All right. I have an official oath document for you to sign. I'll just read it for the record. I, Amanda Duncanson, having been duly elected or appointed to the office of Town Clerk for the Town of Hudson, but yet not entered upon the duties thereof, swear or affirm that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Wisconsin, and will faithfully discharge the duties of said office to the best of my ability. Ms. Duncanson, by signing this official oath, you swear that to be affirm that statement? All right, go ahead and sign. And if you want to hand that to Mr. Hanlos, so he has it for the record. Well, with that, everybody, I think we can give Ms. Duncanson a little round of applause for her. fun begin. So, all right, the next item, number 7, discussion action to add on authorizing former clerk Nick Hemmels to stay on for training and transition to the new clerk, provide compensation and duration outline. What is the board's thoughts on should we just continue him as his rate until the 30th?
I would say that's fair. After the May 1st, then we could approach that and possibly name him, if he's willing, as a deputy clerk at a different rate.
Right, and ultimately, just so we're clear, Ms. Duncanson would have the statutory authority to select her choice. The board would have the ability to place the compensation, the hours, and other such restrictions. But we can cross that bridge when we get there. I guess what I understood this to be was, for the time being, since he's performing full-time work training Ms. Duncanson in, that we should continue paying his current rate in the same hours through the end of April. So, was that your understanding as well?
That was my understanding. Correct, that was my understanding.
All right. Do you want to make that an official motion, Ms. Blank?
So moved.
Okay.
Good luck, Nick.
Did you get that one, Nick?
Your second?
Second by Barzal. Any further discussion?
I would like to authorize to pay Nick Hanlos at his current rate of pay as the clerk until the 1st of May, when he is no longer the official clerk of Hudson. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any further discussion, board members? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion by Susan, seconded by Barzal, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Number 8, discussion to add incoming town clerk Amanda Duncanson to the bank accounts at First National Community Bank and Citizens Bank and all other financial accounts, credit cards. So we do need board authorization and precise minutes on this one so that we can take it to the bank. So, all right, very good. Motion by Foster, is there a second? Second by Jordan.
In that motion, I do believe we have to specifically name the banks, okay?
I think that's right. We have,
Because we have First National Community Bank, we have Citizens Bank, and then we have another bank.
The other one not on there is the Pershing.
Yes,
So
Yes.
just, we'll name the Pershing account in the minutes.
well, name it in the motion.
So,
I would like that in the motion because otherwise they will not accept the
Correct.
minutes.
Yes. I forgot the first one because I thought that was just a loan, but
I mean, it's germane because it is another
I
financial.
know, but
yeah.
we've been down this road and the banks are very particular about it, so we need their official name and it has to be in the minutes.
So, Mr. Foster, will you accept Ms. Blank's amendment to include the exact name?
Yes.
Okay, and you're okay with that, Mr. Jordan? All right, so we're on track then with that amended motion. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. All right, I'm going to jump a little bit here because I've only got a little bit left. Number 14, discussion action on opening, reviewing, selecting RFP tree and brushing bids. If you recall, board members, members of the public, we had some expressed interest from one of our local businesses to do some of this work for us versus the county. And we indicated that we would send it out officially for other interested parties to bid. I am now opening the only recipient of bids from tree company type places, and it is no surprise by the original party that was interested, Willow River Company. So I opened that on the record, and we we can have a discussion. I believe it's in your books, under number 14.
No, there's going to be nothing in the books on it. It was just that packet right there, since I personally don't have that either, so at least for you, share, sir.
Let me just quickly review this. It appears the pricing was, as originally quoted, $4.25 per hour, performed by a 3-person crew equipped with a bucket truck, chipper, log loader truck, and all necessary safety equipment. Rate includes the on-site chipping, haul-out, disposal of larger debris. And then there's a second part for emergency storm response, $550 per hour. Reflecting rapid mobilization, extended hours. If there's a specialty equipment such as cranes or track man lifts required for specific tasks, those will be quoted both separately from the main contract. Response and time scheduling. Respond to emergency situations within 12 hours, often much sooner. Routine scheduled work generally with 2 weeks of authorization, with flexibility to address priority needs more quickly when required. This is very similar to what was originally submitted to us. There's also a certificate of liability insurance with that. So I think all the requirements have been met. Do we have a representative from Little River?
Yes.
I guess, okay. I guess this would be an opportunity that if anybody has any additional questions beyond what was originally submitted, and now again, basically, you submitted basically to what you gave us.
Yeah, the only thing I added was the storm response that I didn't have in the original one, but everything else is basically what was stated in the previous proposal.
And is your emergency number located there with a secondary emergency in case we can't get a hold of you?
I can give, so we have, so the number on there is my cell phone. The way we operated, what we do operate with multiple other municipalities and townships is, yes, too. So it's either myself or whatever arborist is the lead on it, and then our project manager, who also lives in town. So both are regularly available. So the way we do it with everyone else is we have a primary point of contact. So if that's one of you or maybe a public works person, well, whoever it is, it doesn't really matter, but it's a very open line of communication between me and them, and then the secondary being our project manager.
Well, since I can walk to your place.
Perfect, which is totally fine. Yeah. One thing I do want to add, I mean, it doesn't have to be discussion currently at the moment, but I don't know what you guys have budgeted or have spent in the past. I mean, the current project that you had expressed might have been like a $15,000 budget on it. Just for your guys' record and for future planning, we do work with every surrounding municipality, and the average spend per year is in that $50,000 to $100,000 a year on whether it's emergency response or right-of-way clearance, all that kind of stuff, and just knowing the current state of roads and primarily ash trees within the right-of-way that are going to start just falling down. It'd be something for you guys to look at for future budgeting, making sure you're budgeting accordingly for that type of work moving forward.
Just to reflect on what you said, that amount of money was for a specific road.
Correct.
It wasn't for everything within the township.
Yep, for sure, yep. Yeah, 2 roads, right? Yeah, project, one project, yep, for sure. So,
Motions?
Looking for a motion to approve.
Well, we have the proposal. We have the opportunity to ask some questions, so really the question is, do we want to go this route or continue doing tree service with the county?
From my standpoint, I think that I haven't seen the pricing or the price comparison So it's my only hesitation. I will say that we had a tree down on Trout Brook not too long ago, and he beat all of us out to it. It wasn't even something he needed to do for us. I know he just happened to be going through there, but he was jumping on a right away and was going to get it cleared up as unclear as something was coming out. So it's a great choice. I just think that we have the fiscal responsibility, fiduciary responsibility to know what it's going to do with the budget, if anything.
As far as St. Croix County, a lot of the, like you said, a lot of the costs are definitely varied. We don't have a clear picture of what is being charged to us. In this aspect, we would. So we can always, this contract would be for a year starting. And we could look at it a year from now to see how things may or may not have changed.
Yeah, my only, if I can interject anything to that, is I do know their costs are, and we looked into it, trying to find, and it's basically impossible to figure out what they actually do charge per hour. I do know it is a per hour thing, and I do know that we are trained tree care professionals, and even if their per hour rate was lower, if we were able to decipher that, I'm very confident that the amount of production that would be done in an hour and the final product, what it looks like when we're done, would be far superior.
Well, correct me if I'm wrong, but we had this discussion before where we really can't know the price because it depends on the individual worker who's assigned, you know, whether that person's long tenured, short tenured, you know, which salary they're at. This just seems a lot more simple.
And on the other aspect, as well as what was brought up during our conversations, was St. Croix County's only option is cut the whole tree down. You have different options. Being an arborist, you're not going to necessarily only be able to cut the tree down. You also have better equipment, how do I want to say this, to surgically remove something without it having to be dropped down on the road. I've seen your work, so you can surgically remove something very easily. And it's a lot cleaner cleanup when you're done.
And there is a downside of the county is they just leave the logs and the brush and everything there along the ditch, and so it gets kind of messy.
Well, also, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, you almost every surrounding town uses your services, right?
Correct.
And, you know, from my point of view, I think that, you know, if we use our local businesses in our town, that's my preference.
Yeah, and there's some, and just truck equipment alone, as an example, there's some very intricate trees that need to go on there that are flat out, they're just going to fall and wipe out power to a lot of people if they were just be left in, or not moved properly. So I'm not sure how you could drop some of these entire trees. They have to be removed from the top down. So there's a good amount of stuff that I know that is going to be outside of the county's repertoire of what they're able to do.
Well, to speed this along, because this will be my last agenda item for tonight, the real question is, I think Mr. Bartzel is, do we need additional time to compare the cost, or do we have enough to go forward with a one-year contract?
So it doesn't sound like additional time is going to get us the costs from that. How much additional time do we take? So
I'm ready to make a motion that the township hire Willow River Tree Service for our brushing and tree removal needs, and make a contract for the next year, and then we can revisit it at that time. It helps both parties.
I'll second. Any further discussion? Any further discussion?
And in that motion, provided in your contract that we have at least 2 phone numbers. And this will be gone through by the town chairman.
I agree with that amendment then, any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. At 6:36 p.m., Chairman Fowler has left the meeting, and Mr. Fosterling will preside over formal meeting protocols. And Mr. Clerk, I will leave my computer out there tomorrow.
Do I need to occupy that spot for any reason?
If you would prefer, it's up to you. It's up to you.
Well, maybe I'll sit in this, so it's easy.
Plus you have the gavel.
And it makes it easy for me. It makes it easy for me.
Okay, just moving right along here, let's go ahead and look at item number 9 on the agenda, which is the Cedar Meadows subdivision concept plan. Is there somebody here? Okay, very good.
Ty Adams here for Coos Lake and Cedar Meadows. So where this was left at was the future land use plan amendment was kind of the stalling item to move this thing ahead. Went before the plan commission and discussed that. They looked at both of the options available and moved that on to you guys, I believe with the recommendation. And so now we're at that point of taking action to move ahead. And I haven't been given direction yet from Bryce as to an application form or anything, but he said that this was step 1 and then we can proceed as needed from here with public hearing or whatever is required to make this signage plan.
So, so the recommendation is essentially saying that there's a recommendation here that we set up a public hearing adjusting the comp plan for our May meeting. Is that your understanding too, Mr. Ramos?
Yeah, and that's kind of the question I have. So Eric Tansgard asked me about a public hearing for it. And I understand that he's not on the plan commission. He said that it would be helpful to have it from the plan commission. I want to talk to you guys and see, does that happen? Do you have public hearings on that side? I didn't think it sounded like it, so I'm guessing as a town board public hearing. Because it's a change to, like a major change, it's a 30-day notice instead of 2-week. So we would be tight on the May meeting to get that. Actually, we wouldn't based on paper. Because I was under the impression that was going to be a planning commission, which we would have made, but we'll get that out. If that's your action to go that way. So there were 2 options, but the public hearing to make that change to the comp plan was one of those 2 options.
This point,
Yes, the public hearing is held here. It's not through the planning commission. So we do need that 30 days, so unfortunately we're under that guideline that we're not going to make it for the May meeting. I apologize. So we have to have a notice. And that notice can go out now, but we're not going to make it in time.
I guess I don't understand what the reason.
Because we have to give notification to the township that we're having a public hearing. And
Right.
there's certain laws that we have to abide by as far as notification.
And you're saying this has to go to the next town board, not the next planning commission?
To the planning commission.
Okay. And today is what, the 8th, and the next town board meeting is?
Typically the first Wednesday, so that's going to be the 6th.
Okay. So the math doesn't quite work out there, is what you're saying.
Right, and I think it's coming back to how we notify through the paper. We did back up almost a week and a half to get it out, so unless we did the 13th.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I'm wondering if what we could do is post the public hearing, and then even though it's not at our meeting, we could still post a public hearing. And then we could have, if it's going to interfere with complicating you for going forward with this, we could call a special meeting to vote on it after that, to help keep it going forward for you. If that's going to interfere with you by waiting till June, we can work something out here.
I'm thinking it would probably be okay as long as we can get at least some feedback on our layout now to start moving towards the design, because then realistically, when we get into our design phase, that's going to be coming through at the same time as the land use amendment. So that's probably, I don't think it's a killer if we get pushed back a month, as long as we kind of have some direction and can do some design and not have to make, any major change, like moving roads or something like that in the interim. So I guess that'd be where, I know last time we kind of just pushed it aside, and this time maybe we can get just some reactions, some feedback on the layout, and then work through with Eric and Bryce if they have other, design-related comments. I just don't want to get where the town board says, overall, we want you to scrap this and do something else, and then now we've, kind of moved ahead on that track. So that'd be the only thing. I don't think that June is gonna be a problem if we can, just kind of get a little comment on what we have and any concerns you guys might have that we could address in the meantime.
Okay, this was looked at last month conceptually.
Yep.
At that time, I believe that we had the board recommendation and the planning commission. I don't, I think it was clear, but does anybody recall exactly what that was? Greg, you happen to have a recollection of that?
The planning commission had no concerns with the concept.
Okay. Mr. Jordan?
There it is. My comments, I would echo what was in the SEH report. I think that future land use map should be amended.
Yep.
So that we know clearly that this is a residential use for future development. Forever is a long time. And if someone comes in and now has an industrial use crammed in next to residential homes, that's not wise planning.
Right.
So I think we take the time to do it right, amend the future land use map. That will give you the assurances and the protection you need. With respect to the design, because we're still in the concept plan, I don't know if we'll be here later tonight, we're going to see a proposal for the Kinney property. And there's, I would call it ghost planning or at least planning, as to how roads and future roads would align in the future for land that's basically not being proposed for development today. The reason I'm sharing that is my only other comment on your plan. It's really a long road to get from Fraser Lane all the way back to County Road A, which is why we would not want industrial trucks coming in there in the future. And when you get to Prospect Lane, just get to it specifically, if you did your planning and started trying to align that with Pine Tree, Pine Timber Lane, it really doesn't leave much of a lot left on the, it would be the easternmost property line of that. So
Yeah.
I'm not asking you to, partner with the neighbor to the north, but I think some conceptual plans that we look at for future roadways would be very helpful.
No, and I did mock that up a little bit when we did this design, just because that came up. Terrain-wise, it'd be very difficult to move that road to the west because it gets pretty steep and goes down a hill. But you can kind of see a rock prospect into the property on a little bit of an angle. And then the thought was that road would probably start into a curve, head west to get closer to County Road A, because there's gonna be no more access off base, so you're gonna have to front any land in there coming out of this as that road goes north. So that's kind of why the Prospect style is bending it rather than being straight. So I took that into account and certainly could do, you know, some sort of a mock-up of at least a road plan, maybe not a lot plan, you know, where that would connect in, and, you know, create, probably would be one lot between Pine Tree and Prospect, and then maybe some sort of intersection up there to continue that going north and veer to the west to get lots out, and, you know, whatever could happen with that in the future.
It's a question I have. It's not to slow this process down, but did you look at bringing Prospect Lane up that property line between Pine Timber and the other owners of T into Pine Timber? I mean, now you kind of have that remnant parcel up to that land use to the north. It's just, as long as we're going from concept to preliminary, and I know.
Oh, you're saying bring up Prospect right along the side of that lot? Yeah, I probably wouldn't do that because that landowner right on the corner would then have that road really close to his house.
Fair enough.
You know, it would probably, you know, that's where I was thinking, you pretty much go into a curve and head northwesterly, so that then there's another, you know, more rectangular or even east-west, north-south lot there that is better as a corner parcel.
Fair enough, I respect that. Those are my comments, Mr. Chair.
Very good. So just to be clear, so I think what you're saying is that would a T up there then, and then Pine Timber come across? Is that what you're kind of saying?
Yeah, Pine Timber would come basically straight to the west, Prospect would curve to the northwest, and then the two would come together. You probably can't see it, something like that. Coming over this way, getting back to the Prospect.
And then heading north a little bit further to the west there?
Yep, heading north a little further to the west, so that, you know, if you're assuming that 2 or 2.5 acre lots go in there, then you could service that area, you know, as residential lots, because that's the way it's owned. And then eventually that connects up to McCutcheon, and then the traffic circulation happens. The other thing I would probably add is, based on this layout, right now, I do not show a temporary cul-de-sac on Prospect, but when we get to design, because we're going to have 2, 3, 4 lots there, I expect that's probably something the town is going to require, so that would be brought into the design. So right at the north end of Prospect, probably.
Yeah, they're going to require that for the fire department.
Right, yep, so that's what we would probably figure, is that the cul-de-sac goes up in that area.
Okay, with any other comments, any other contributions? Okay, with that said then, do I have a motion? And I think the first one would be addressing the future land use.
I'll make the motion to go forward with option 2 to amend the future land use map and get a public hearing scheduled.
Okay, any other comments on that?
The public hearing to be scheduled for the June meeting.
I accept that, yes.
I'll second.
Mr. White, did you have a comment?
The Plan Commission did acknowledge that map was a mistake by SEH, and unfortunately, we did not catch that. That should never have been industrial. It was meant to be residential from the beginning. And I agree with Don, that needs to be corrected.
Yeah, I don't think there's any other way we can correct it by having it, other than having the hearing, so.
If there's just no decent access to those couple of lots that are industrial, buried between the railroad track and the residential area and somebody else's property, so there's no way to get access in there. Correct. For industrial use anyways.
Okay, so we have a motion to proceed with the public hearing combined with our June meeting in regard to future land use. converting the industrial zoning to residential. Do I hear a motion on that?
Got the motion.
Okay, and can we have a
I
second?
believe there was a motion by David and a second by Don.
Okay, then,
And the public hearing to be held
Yep, so I have
prior to the meeting.
Supervisor Barzal made a motion to go forward with option 2 and schedule a public hearing for the June meeting after something amendment for you for the June meeting for public hearing, and second by Supervisor Jordan.
Possibly that the public hearing will be held prior
Prior to the June meeting?
to the 6 o'clock time.
Sure.
yes. Okay, great. Any other amendments? Is that acceptable to you?
Yes.
Okay, that said, we have a motion. Vote, please. All those in favor say
Aye.
aye. Okay, let's give unanimous aye. Okay, let's move to the next item then.
Just one thing.
Excuse me, Mr. Chairman, do we need a motion on approving the concept plan?
Oh, yes, exactly, okay. Yeah, I think that we can accept the motion if there's willingness to do so, contingent on the zoning change.
I move to approve the Cedar Meadows subdivision concept plan, subject to the zoning change with the addition of putting a cul-de-sac at the end of Prospect Lane.
I'll second your motion.
And then, yeah, my only other question would be process-wise, if we get to the point where we have preliminary plat and design, to submit, we'd probably get that package into you guys, and it might be before that June, just so we can kind of get, not fall back another meeting after that. And if the town would accept that package, you know, pending the future land use plan amendment.
I think that would make sense.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Sounds great.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Passed.
Thank you.
Okay, then, discussion action on the King subdivision concept plan, item number 10.
Chair, Supervisors, my name is Ben Schmidt, Twin Cities Land Development, 3 Eastview Lane, North Oaks. This one's always a little, I like coming to the town board meetings because there aren't quite as many people, it's not quite as formal, but it also means I have to talk more. I think you've got our concept plan in front of you. We had that in front of the planning commission here last month. They recommended approval unanimously, if I remember correctly. Got a big map we can look at. I think you've got that in front of you. I'll just hit a couple of highlights. We've got a 73 unit acreage development. All lots would be on-site on septic. Our plans do meet, we believe meet all your ordinances in terms of minimum lot size is 2 acres. Our average lot size is 2.5 acres. We've worked through, before going to the planning commission, we worked through staff on road connections, nose plat, what that might look like, change kind of the way some of the roads worked, and so how we might have future road connections. And so we feel very good about the plan that's in front of you. I mean, one thing that is maybe a little bit unique on this one, certainly not unprecedented, is this idea of kind of shifting development rights from one large lot to the other lots. That makes us have our 2.5 acre minimum, while kind of preserving one big large lot. One of the questions that came up at the planning commission was, how do you make sure that that large lot doesn't redevelop? And right now in our plans, it would be allowed to subdivide one time based on the minimums that we've got. But what we would anticipate is we put a deed restriction on that lot so that way it can't re-subdivide other than one time. That lot is planned to be retained by the current owners, and they really just want it as one single big lot, and that's why we came up with the plan that we did. I think it's a kind of a unique solution, but one that works pretty well for the land that we've got out there. So we're excited. We hope that here to stand for any questions, but should concept plan be approved by you, we start working on our preliminary plat right away, and have that in front of you here in the next couple of months. Then happy to stand for any questions you might have.
Yeah, from what I'm reading in here, it says deed restrictions restricting the future subdivision of lot 73. because lot 73 is how you come to your 2.5 average. So if future, what you just got done saying, it sounded like that they could divide that down the road, well then you're not at your 2.5
So the way,
acres, so that,
yeah, I'll just clarify that. The way it stands right now, and obviously I'll sort it out, preliminary plat exactly, the way it stands right now, that could be subdivided one time, so split in half, if you will, and still maintain the 2.5 acre average.
okay, but that needs to be clear.
For sure.
Because being, the words that you just spoke to me, being subdivided, could mean more two-acre lots. And that, so we have to be very clear about how that is
For sure.
put on the deed.
Yeah, we would expect that the deed would very clearly state it could be subdivided into 2 lots. And that's it.
And giving the size of what the lots would have to be, not
Yep.
one that's,
Correct. Correct. So again, a detail that have to be worked out, but one that we're confident can be worked out and clearly stated on the deed restriction.
Is it fair to say that if lot 73 was developed into 1 or 2 units, that access would be on North Meadow Drive? Because really the only way I can see that you're going to get in there.
Yeah, I think that is
So
okay.
maybe-
Yeah, that's the way I would say it, yes.
Okay. Maybe you shook your head.
Nodding yes.
I'm sorry.
Now, did I say anything wrong? Sometimes I get it wrong.
You're right.
All right. I know a lot of them, so sometimes when it gets to the exact road name, sometimes I get confused, so.
No, it's okay. We were just having a conversation through you. You didn't know that.
That's the best way.
Okay, any other comments or questions?
It's a little unusual, and I guess to be just very transparent and fair, I'm a little bit concerned with deed restrictions because they can be undone in the future. And I'm trying to kind of figure in my mind how we can make sure that that doesn't happen other than just the promise of the property owner, which I would like to take at face value, but property owners can change, and sometime in the future, a deed restriction could be somebody could try to remove it, and may not understand the history, so that's my concern, and I don't know how to address my concern.
Mr. Bartzel, are you possibly saying that we need to speak with our attorney how we would address this?
That would certainly go some ways to make sure that we've got it as tight as possible, yes.
If I may respond to that, certainly a legitimate concern, and we would certainly accept, obviously, if you were to approve this today, one of the conditions would be that we've got to be able to satisfy that concern working with your attorney. And I think there's a couple different ways to do it. I certainly, again, understand your concern. I think there's a couple ways to layer some things on top, not only with the deed restriction, but as part of the, because it is going to be part of the plat, as part of the conditions of the plat, we could add that in there as well. So I think there's a couple ways we can layer it to alleviate that concern, but of course we work with your lawyer to make sure that we do that.
Yeah.
Any other questions or concerns? Mr. Jordan?
I just have one other comment. As you ghost plat of the land to the north, I think it'd be very helpful for us if you would ghost plat and show us how that 39-acre parcel could be subdivided into 2. And there's a lot of topography changes here. And I agree with the other comments tonight. We have the deed restrictions. We could condition it as a town board. But I think it'd be very helpful for everyone to say, okay, this is how it can be subdivided.
Sure, we could definitely do that.
Any other comments or questions?
Looks like a great development.
Thank you.
Sounds good. So, do I have a motion?
I'm just trying to think how to word it.
Yeah. Order to approve the King subdivision concept plan contingent upon developing acceptable wording for the deed restriction on lot 73.
Somehow we need to include that our attorney would need to look at this so that it's tied up.
I don't think that needs to be part of this motion, does it?
Well, I would like to, as Mr. Jordan said, show us a future picture of how that might be, so that we have a general idea. That would be helpful.
Sure.
So,
Two contingencies then?
okay,
Sorry. Yes. Sorry for interrupting.
okay. So, the two contingencies are both the deed restriction as well as being reviewed by the attorney.
And giving us an idea of how that would be possibly split in the future.
Would it be acceptable that we do that? We'd like to start on our preliminary plat soon. Would it be acceptable if we show that plan to staff for their review?
Yes, the subdivided possibility.
Yeah, that, yeah.
Yes,
Not staff's review of the deed restriction, that would be part of the preliminary plat, reviewed by your lawyer, but that we would, so that goes plat in an area, share that with staff. If there's any concerns, of course, address them with you, but if there aren't, then we can kind of keep moving.
So what you're saying in this right here is that with lot 73 as is, in its entirety, it's 2.55. Did you do a calculation? I would expect that you must have, and it doesn't matter where it's divided. It's still going to be, a number, one solid number. Is it 2.51? Is that what it is, or what are we talking about?
Answer is, I don't remember exactly, but yes, it was just over 2.5.
Okay, very good. Okay, so that said, accepting the motion as presented, let's have a vote. All those in favor say aye.
I will second your motion.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, before we vote, can we just clarify there was some cutting and pasting of that motion? So, if you will, I'm going to review what I have. So, right now, I believe Supervisor Barstow, you started by saying you moved to approve the concept contingent upon developing an acceptable deed restriction of lot 73, and then Supervisor Blank had added, and also had a contingency of having reviewed by the town attorney. Does that sound correct?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Jordan, you have some comment on that?
we need to add in, if you're doing one motion, you need to add in.
Yeah, that's sorry.
Showing the subdivision.
That's the third item.
73.
To show subdivision of lot 73. Proposed concept subdivision of lot 73.
Okay, is there anything else to add?
Does that make sense?
Yes, so I'll add in three contingencies, one being developing an acceptable deed restriction of lot 73, showing a concept of a split of lot 73 and reviewed by the town attorney. And also the town attorney will be looking into protecting the deed restriction.
Yes.
That's
And I think that's been a benefit to the applicants tonight too, because as you meet with SEH, and as you put your deed restrictions together, as our attorney reviews it, now you're going to be able to see what this subdivision of that lot looks like in the future. And it's part of our motion. I think we're there.
Okay, are we, Mr. Hanwell said we've got the motion.
Yes, so just again to clarify, Supervisor Barzel moved to accept the contingent concept plan upon developing an acceptable deed restriction of lot 73, showing the concept development or split of lot 73, and it being reviewed by our town attorney for the deed restriction order. And that was seconded by Supervisor Blank.
Okay. Then let's move to a vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So for this, Mr. Chairman, number 11, I want to see, is the Alger family here? Yes. Perfect. Hope I said your last name right.
LJ.
Eldred, okay, sorry for that.
We spoke on the phone.
Yep, I just want to make sure, I didn't see a play with you, but I just want to make sure that we didn't pass that up together.
Yeah, so we're just looking at a whole building on our property, 877 Cambridge Court, Hudson, Wisconsin. We would like to add a second driveway for the whole building. It just would help us so we have a second driveway coming off of our original driveway to the yard. Cambridge Court is a small road, it's called stack, there's 4 houses at the end of it.
Do you have a building permit at this point for the whole building?
We talked to Tony, he said to get this approved first because if this is not approved, we have to change how we plow it. So this way we can kind of point towards Cambridge Court. If we can't do this, we have to turn it.
So you can come off your existing driveway for the shed, you can.
Yeah.
I'm pointing this out that we do not, in history, just give out requests for second driveways.
We had been told that, that's fine, nobody knew exactly what process to go through, so that's why we're like, oh, it's so.
Yeah, maybe just to clarify, there's, generally we require a reasoning, behind it. So, for example, if you had to cross a drain field, or, your contour, is such that, it just was very difficult to put in kind of a driveway and, away from the house or whatever existed. You didn't address any of those items in there. And so, normally speaking, we wouldn't, provide an exception, for a driveway in that case.
So it would have to be some special use reason or something like that.
Right, yes.
Is there anything we can do to show why it makes more sense on our property since it's kind of unique?
Not unless it's because there's absolutely no way you can come off your driveway because of the terrain, or again, like the chairman said, because of your septic system, then we would approach it in a different manner. But you can come off the existing driveway that you have now, and that's what the township would prefer, because we don't want all these extra driveways coming out onto our road system. So that's why we put a halt to just anybody that wants a second driveway can have one.
Yeah, we're actually following the state guidelines actually in terms of, road access and safety concerns and stuff like that. From the state. I don't know if anybody wants to add anything else on that. I think actually you might be better off by having, more driveway right there close to the house if you want to, yes.
Yeah,
there's parking there.
Yeah, we're just gonna suck up a lot of money or, clear areas.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. Okay, next item, item 12, updated fire codes.
Okay, so we've looked at this a couple of times. The last time was in December, I believe, or November, and you had asked for a couple of changes, all of which have been made now and been reviewed by our attorney. So all of these changes are, from my standpoint, ready for approval, and so I would make a motion to get very specific. Mr. Chairman, do you need these one at a time, or can we bundle them all together? I don't know.
I'm just wondering, I always want to do one at a time because we have, raising the fees and stuff, so.
That's a separate item.
So that one's definitely got to be separate.
That's a separate agenda item. All right,
So what we would take is the two to start with, or is there's another one?
There's 4 sections that are being proposed to change. 5 sections.
Right, yeah. And we could bundle the zoning one, that last one, I think, with references to 2 lots, along with the first 2, maybe?
Okay. Yes. So,
And do you want to just very briefly over what changes there?
certainly. Okay, so section 14-2. Now I messed up all my papers. Section 14-2 added some additional SPS sections to the Wisconsin Administrative Code that are just incorporated by reference. It doesn't change anything other than just getting specific on which administrative codes apply to our commercial building code.
Okay.
And so that'd be one.
Chapter 23.
Yep, I'm trying. I messed up all of my papers.
I'd like to vote on these one at a time. This is pretty clear.
Right. Susan, I agree. This is a good motion. Motion to approve the changes to amend Chapter 14, Section 14-2 of the Municipal Code.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, great. Let's vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, let's go to the next one.
Anyone Chapter 23?
Yes.
Okay, the changes in Chapter 23 add some additional restrictions for to add Section 23-4.1, which are additional restrictions on where burning can occur on a property. So it permits changes to permit open fire shall be located not less than 50 feet from any structure, and recreational fire shall not be located within 25 feet of a structure unless contained in an approved manner. Condition that could cause a fire to spread to within 25 feet of a structure shall be eliminated prior to ignition. Fires must be attended by at least one person 18 years or older when lighting the fire at all times, and a fire extinguisher shall be available nearby, a fire extinguisher or water hose shall be available nearby at all times. Those are the additions.
Okay, motion please.
Move to approve the, to amend Chapter 23, Section 23-3, 23-4, and add 23-4.1 of the Municipal Code.
Do I have a second?
I will second that.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, let's go to, I think this is probably your fifth one.
Which section?
Chapter 14.3, key boxes. Just for the audience's benefit, this is just referencing a building requirement of commercial buildings that they have a fire department key box.
Along with, so it's fire, that's the key box, and it's also to disclosure of hazardous materials and or infectious agents, reimbursement for cleanup and spills, and some definitions of what all these things mean. This is mirroring what's in the Wisconsin Administrative Code and consistent with the other districts in the Hudson Fire Department. And it applies to the commercial. So the motion would be to amend Chapter 14-3, adding sections 14.3.1 and 14-3.2 of the Municipal Code.
Do I have a motion on this?
So I'll make that motion.
In second. Mr. Jordan, second again. Okay. Any discussion? Actually, I like the idea of infectious agents. I forgot to mention that, but considering what happened in Las Vegas, it's good to have that addressed. So, thank you, and let's have a vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. It's passed unanimously. And then
I can do the fees first. This change is so currently we charge $100 per reinspection. And what this change is that the first reinspection stays at 100. Second reinspection stays at 100. And starting with the third, it goes up by $100 each time. So third is 200, fourth is 300, and subsequent 5 plus is $500 per inspection. So I make a motion to amend chapter A113, section A113-1 of the municipal code.
I'll second your motion.
Okay, any other discussion on that? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. That's unanimously. Okay, then the last one.
Chapter 47, this change is a simple wording change to indicate that the fire chief or the new fire marshal are authorized to do re-inspections and inspections. And also that the inspection fees have always been split 40% to the town and 60% to the Hudson Fire Department, but that was not in our code, so it's adding that to our code. Motion to amend chapter 47, section 47-5 of the municipal code.
I'll second your motion, Mr. Barzal.
Any discussion? I'd like to amend 47.5C, where it refers to at the second reinspection, since we do have multiple other inspections referenced now, that we add at the second or any subsequent reinspection. So that essentially maintains the fire marshal, the fire inspectors, etc. Authority to shut down the facility at any subsequent reinspection.
So it's changing the wording from at the second inspection to at the second and subsequent re-inspections?
Or any subsequent.
Or subsequent re-inspections, I can accept that.
Or any subsequent.
I'll accept that.
Okay, very good. Okay, any other comments? Okay, let's have a vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, right through number 12. Okay, the 13 discussion on possible action, fire building minimums and fire permits. I think that
So I asked for this action, or this agenda item we put on here. In looking at ways that we could try to save some money for our fire charges. I noted earlier that some $200,000 of what we pay each year right now is directly related to the number of fire calls that we get. And so thinking about what we could do to try to reduce that, some of the neighboring communities issue an actual fire permit, not just require that a call be made, but have an actual written permit. Some of them do an annual permit, and some of them do a perpetual permit. And the reason for doing the permit is not to make more paperwork and hassle for people, but to give an opportunity for people that are seeking to do burning, give an opportunity for us to educate them on the laws, the common sense things about, we put some information in there about wind conditions and dry conditions, and even if we don't have a fire ban in place, there are times when somebody shouldn't burn. It depends on the specific conditions of the property that they're living on. And so what the idea here would be is you've got the person who's applying, where they live, you provide this information, you have some check boxes that they check off that they've read what the regulations are, and they sign it so that we have a record that that person has received their training on burning. They will still need to call county dispatch to check and make sure that it's a day that they can burn, and also to notify them so that if a neighbor calls, of course, they don't send the fire department because if somebody's burning at that property.
Mr. Barzal, on that form, have you seen from any of the other townships and communities where they possibly have put on there what it's going to cost them if the fire department is called out?
I don't recall seeing that, but I don't recall not seeing it either, but I think we could certainly add that on. We can, do a permit form any way that we want to. I'll grab I didn't have a chance to do it, but I'll grab the example from St. Joe and from Warren, which I thought were pretty good, and use those as templates. And I can put together a proposed permit that we could come back and vote on.
If they have to call in to dispatch each time anyway, what would it send them to actually do this?
The sign at the entryway to all of our roads into the town that says burning permit required. Our ordinance says that a burning permit is required, but we don't anywhere in our ordinance talk about how to actually get a burning permit. I hate fines and penalties, but I guess at the end of the day, there needs to be a fine associated with it that if they don't have a permit and something happens, that there's an additional fine.
I think the way we currently administer it is that if there is a fire call as a result of a fire, they have to pay for the fire call if they have not called in a permit, and they also have to pay a fine for not calling in for a permit. So so we could just make sure that that's clarified, that yes.
If you don't have the written permit and don't call in.
You don't have to have a written permit, you would call in, just call in,
But I said if we went with the idea of having a written permit that's on file, we could also include that if you don't have that written permit, and even if you've called in, you still could get a fine.
Could this also be satisfied by updating on our website? What a burning permit is, what you need to do, rather than, I'm hearing you about having something written out each time, but again, this is, we're just having a discussion here.
Yeah, no,
it is more paperwork for our clerk to have each resident yearly or whatever come out with a permit, a burning permit, and then still call in every time they burn.
I agree, it is more of a burden, but again, it's the impetus for doing this is to try to educate people and try to prevent fire calls. And surrounding communities do this, so we're not inventing anything here.
Too much paperwork today. I might be missing something on this discussion. We can just back up for a moment. So I'll personalize it. Now I want to get a burning permit. I go on the website, so they need to call this non-emergency number. I call it. They say I have to have an emergency number where I can be reached. If it gets away on me, someone calls it in and says there's a fire call. But are we really saying now we have to come out here and get a burning permit in addition to that? Because I think that's something we did 35, 40 years ago. And that really became an onerous deal. I just would caution us to think about this before we do that. And the reason I want to circle back to this, and acknowledging that maybe wasn't listening close enough, I think that almost begs the question then, we would scoff along going, well, I'm not going to drive out to the town hall and get a written permit, and then call county dispatch. I'll just lay it up and do what I need to do. I
That just to clarify, I'm not suggesting that there's a written permit for every fire, but only, at the most annually. But I actually prefer the way St. Joe is doing it, where they have a perpetual permit. So you get a permit one time as a person for a piece of property, and then you still make your call. And so it's a one-time permit. And I hear what you're saying. And I'm not actually even trying to over-argue for this. I'm just suggesting that we have a cost problem, and one of the ways to try to reduce fire costs is to reduce the number of calls that get billed to the If you guys don't like it,
Let me just, I'm not slowing our conversation down to that. Hopefully we're not going to vote on this tonight.
no.
But some of the fire calls, as I recall, would always be like, hey, there's an accident out on mile marker 8, and it's from somewhere in Indiana where they caught their travel trailer on fire, and now we can't build it back. Not just making anecdotal deals. I think that's different from someone that's been here for 35, 40 years. And I don't know. I want to see that data that we're having a lot of those people that have been here forever, or even brand new, that there's a lot of these things that we can't build back. It just seems to me that we can't.
I believe I heard something from you, Mr. Barzal, that part of your hope was to educate the community. And I believe that we do need to educate our community on more of our ordinances and how things are done. And again, I believe we can get some help on our website to have things put on there clearly, just like we did finally with dog licensing and stuff like that. We can also post something, in our window about burning permits, how they get one, and their responsibilities, without having to have paperwork to educate them.
Susan, if you're fine with that, we can do that. There's no reason not to. Calling the dispatch does not give you a permit to burn. And that's part of the problem, is that our ordinances and what's on our website and what we tell people is not exactly consistent across all of those sources of information. So we do need to clarify that also.
That is their burning permit when they call St. Croix County. That is their burning permit.
I respectfully, it is not a permit.
But,
It's a notification to the county that you're going to burn. They don't tell you yes or no. They say thank you.
my phraseology always is, I am calling to register for a burn permit. And then they take my name, address, and call that number. I might add too that the county uses those calls in their accounts for staffing, and they love those calls because of one of the lowest pressure, greatest calls to deal with, and I have suggested that they actually have an automated line with some software so that basically people have to type in their name or it repeats it back or something like that for voice recognition, so that we got clearly identified name and address, and that way it's just online, and if there's a burn red flag or something like that, it basically automatically says you can't burn today. And they do not like that idea because they like the calls. So that just for your information.
Only we knew some
dynamics of it.
word that could change that.
Yeah. That has been my experience in the past.
Okay. I think this horse is wounded enough is the discussion that we need to have on the amount that we are billing for fire calls. It's been $250 for a very, very long time. You look at the number of times the fire department gets dispatched to a township, it's 138 times. The portion of our bill to Hudson Fire Department that covers the call volume is about $200,000. Round numbers, we're looking at $1,700 per call is what it more or less costs our taxpayers when there's a call.
In following through with that, if you looked at our fire stuff, some of these have had 10th billings, 7th billings.
I saw that.
And this, okay, and yes, we're getting a little tiny bit there, but this is a lot of extra work for our treasurer, who's got to be sending things out consistently. So if our charges were different, I believe we would get a little more action on getting these paid without it having to go this far down the road.
No, it's a hard thing to talk about because in some cases you're talking about billing somebody for the worst day of their life. But the fact of the matter remains is that we do need to pay for our fire bill. And there should be a balance between levy, fees, and billing.
I don't know what's typical right now, but a lot of homeowners insurance policies also pay for that.
That's correct.
So,
Troy charges $800 for any call, any fire call. And Mr. Treasurer, I think you had mentioned to me that you had information that some other municipalities also send the bills to a small claims court if they are unable to collect it for non-residents.
So when I was going to say the 10th billing, that's when you're billing somebody from Georgia that was in a car accident on 94, and we're responsible for that. Obviously, we do have the ability for those townspeople to assess it as a special charge on property tax, so we do get that back. But those types of things, we don't have that recourse other than using the small claims. I think what Dave was getting at is when you saw the fire report, what's going to happen starting in 2027. We're going to have a large budgetary issue with the fire bill. And so he's looking at ways how can we generate some revenue on some of this stuff because the cost is going to be very exorbitant. So
is there a motion to raise the call charge at this point in time?
I'll make a motion to raise the fire billing to $800 per incident.
Any comment on that? Well, okay, we've got a motion. We'll take that as a motion. Do I hear a second?
I'm going to second that motion. It's steep, but we're looking at what other communities are doing.
My question for discussion is, for discussion purposes, that's Troy's fee. Have we looked at St. Joe and Warren and other ones as well?
I have not.
Because I mean, I think reasonably, the worst day of your life, it can be going back to your insurance. That's what you have insurance for, right?
I will say, just an experience, the insurance does put a cap on it. I've seen 200,
Yes.
250. They'll do a nominal amount, but since I've been here, it's almost 6 months. I would say we've got 4 or 5 that had insurance that did pay that portion. So it's not a large number, but
Will you accept an amendment to go to $600 to take it up again then later after a little bit more research?
I would not accept that amendment, but certainly from a procedural standpoint, you could make the motion for that amendment get a second and vote on it.
I'd like to hear Mr. Jordan's thoughts on it.
My comment for discussion purposes, I'm really new to the board. I'm a quick reader. I can see how we're going to hit this wall coming up with these new fire charges. And whatever we can do to offset that is something we need to deal with as a board.
We're frankly subsidizing it at this point.
Pardon me?
We're frankly subsidizing it at this point.
Correct.
Might get $800 or
So
something.
that's $800.
My only comment is for consistency, just like we did for brushing contracts, to say, well, what have we looked at? What are other areas charging? And for the point of discussion, should we be charging $1,000 instead of $800? I just don't have a basis of comparison.
I think the point is that, you know, no matter what we charge, as long as it's under $1,700, we're subsidizing it.
Correct.
So that's the salient issue. So and I hear we have a motion and a second, and I have not asked for an amendment. Okay, so that's where it stands at this point. So if there's any more, is there any more discussion on it? If not, then let's have a vote. All those in favor of going with $800 as our fire call charge?
Do roll call, Chair.
Want to roll call?
Roll call.
Okay, sure.
Supervisor Plank,
Aye.
Supervisor Garza,
Aye.
Supervisor Jordan,
Aye.
and Acting Chairman Washington.
Aye.
And my last question is sort of forget that is basically our cost, right? And that's how we're coming up with $800.
Our cost is $1,700.
It's $1,700. So we're using the
We're using the guide, that basically tells us kind of the market. I mean, if you want to call it that, for, you know, what the offender can bear.
right.
And I will do some more research on the fire permit and bring it back at an appropriate time.
Thank you. Okay, then we're on item 15.
I'll take that, Mr. Acting Chairman. Currently, we have weight restriction signs that have to be put up in the spring and removed, and St. Croix County does charge us for doing this. We also have those signs stored in a building that is no longer acceptable to put things in. I did look up purchasing a building. However, I did speak with St. Croix County, and they are willing to store the signs that we need in their new building if need be. It was suggested to me by Matt that we look into doing flip signs, just like our fire signs that say, you know, you can burn or you cannot burn, that they're flipped down or put on a hose, and then they're only flipped up during those times. And this is something, if we would get these flip signs, it's something that any one of us on the board, once we had a map of where these are located, then we could do this ourselves and would not be charged by St. Croix County to do this. The cost on this, unfortunately, is not cheap. They're anticipating about $5,500 charge, and that's for the posts, for the flip signs, for installing them. And I did ask Matt if we had to order extra signs. He said no. They would have, because our township is changing. I asked him if we should have some reserve signs, and he said not to worry because they do have them around. Do we have to do this immediately? No, because weight restrictions are in the spring. And then if we have a bad fall, they could come absolutely have to do it this year. We could put it on next year's budget, but if we can fit it into our budget this year, I would suggest to the board that we do it now because our costs are going up every year, and this would be a one and done deal.
Any comments on that?
Do we have, do we have budget do we have room in the budget for this, or which line would that go under?
It would go under our roads. So we could pull it out of the snow plowing, because this is definitely under our roads.
There's right now.
I think we're not going to use our personal budget.
We hope not.
Do I have a motion on it at this point in time?
I would like to make a motion that we allocate $5,500 for flip signs for weight restrictions and have St. Croix County put those posts and signs up. But going further to the future, we as a board will maintain flipping those signs when need be, instead of having to be charged by St. Croix County. So my motion is to purchase it, to ask for $5,500 on our roads budget
Second.
to purchase these through St. Croix County.
Okay, so we're ready. Anybody, any other further comment on that one? Any questions or comments? Okay.
Did you get that one, John?
Okay, so rolling on that, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, it's unanimous. Let's move on to the next item. Item 16, discussion action on item fixtures or objects in the right of way. I think that was also Supervisor Blanks.
Oh, yes, that is mine. Thank you. Okay, as you know, we have a 33 feet is considered our right of way from the center of the road out. I have observed some problems with objects of large size within that right of way that's causing problems for snow plowing, anything like that. I think we need to, I would like, in this location that I found this problem was at 884 Gavin Pass. I also observed sprinkler heads in the ground shoulder. Again, this is in our right of way. I would ask the board that we send a letter to 884 Gavin Pass, letting them know that they need to remove all obstructions within our right of way within 30 days. Also with wording coming from our town chairman and our town clerk, I would like our chairman to say the wording, letting them know that the town is not liable for any damage or replacement of these sprinkler heads that are in our right of way. It's up to their peril for leaving them there. And I would like to have that letter sent out to that address.
There's discussion on this topic.
That was a motion, right?
Yeah, there was a motion that I would like to send a letter to 884 Gavin Pass, alerting them of the obstructions in our right of way, particularly the rocks. The only thing that can be in our right of way is a mailbox. And that these obstructions need to be removed within 30 days. And also in that same letter, letting our chairman word it so that it comes out properly, that the town is not liable for any damage or replacement of those sprinkler heads, because it's in their peril that they have it on our shoulders.
I'll second your motion.
Any other discussion concerned with our sense that we need to notify anyone else on this because, there is, right now, basically, they're at their own peril regardless. We don't have to send them a notice.
I believe they are because the obstruction of these large boulders within our right of way.
I think that's the biggest concern because that can cause damage to equipment.
That could cause cat damage to equipment, but as long as I am notifying, as long as we are notifying them to remove those obstructions, I would also like to notify the homeowner to be aware that these sprinkler heads, that's at his peril. If somebody parks on them, if the snowplow comes through, if you break the shoulder, that's on you.
Yeah,
And I would like to have this homeowner aware of this before the problem happens.
I think that's a very fair thing to do. We have, in the past, I know, notified people to remove objects from the right of way, whether it be a decorative fence or rocks. So there's a precedent for doing this already.
Mr. Hamlin, you have a motion. And I'll call for a vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Okay. I'll skip ahead here for just a minute here because just thinking that probably somebody here from the Emporium. Item number 20, discussion action on special event permits for the Emporium Car Show. Is there somebody here from the Emporium?
No, there's
Okay.
I do have a couple of comments on that.
Sure.
The fee
Yep.
should be changed on that.
It was 100 conditions were removed.
Okay, and then also, not that we're gonna, I don't know that we're gonna do anything about this tonight, because there's nobody here. I wanna know if everything has been followed through with the insurance, everything on that list, has that been submitted in their form?
Okay.
That has to be followed through before we can vote on this.
Sure. So I gave you, they gave me, would you want to make that a contingency to, motion for that if you want to make a motion? So the problem is that first one is made. We're going to be tight on that.
Yeah, but we have to make sure that they have the liability insurance or some things on here that we have to make sure that the ducks are in a row.
Sure.
Otherwise, how do we feel comfortable with issuing this?
We make a motion, Susan, if you would accept it, to, I guess you haven't made a motion yet. I suggest that we would make a motion to have a contingency that they provide proof of their insurance, so that we can vote on it and they can move forward.
There's a few more on this list. That as you make that motion, that they follow through on everything in this list.
Yeah, they should provide some sort of a comment and documentation on every one of these items.
Are they numbered, or is it, can you just put on record what's
Yeah,
the list that you're
A
giving?
through O, right?
Yeah, there was a couple items like, porta potties were mentioned in there, but everything else was not mentioned. And they have applied for this before, so they know the drill.
Sure.
So unfortunately, we cannot let them take the shortcut. Everybody else has to fill it out, so. And you fill out nice forms for the dog. Very nice forms.
So is your motion?
I'm not making a motion.
You're not making a motion. Okay, do we have a motion?
Yes.
I'll make that motion.
Okay. And the motion is?
To approve the special event permit for the Emporium Car Show on May 16th, 2026, and September 19th, 2026, contingent upon receiving documentation that all of the occasion of the event application requirements are met,
Including proof of insurance.
including proof of insurance, or we could just say including items A through O. Inclusive of items A through O.
And are you authorizing the clerk to make that call once that's in?
I don't know, can we trust? Yes.
Still got another month here.
Okay. Okay, so we have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, let's move back then to 17 off the agenda, 18 discussion action on migrating town emails, the new gov address. We've got a proposal for that.
So Supervisor Washling, I want to maybe have an icebreaker for our new clerk to try to describe this one. So she was going back and forth with Tim Whiteside from Sunny Lake. So I'll let her give some background into it and pick up where necessary.
Sounds great, thank you.
Okay, so I gave him a call because I was trying to get shared documents with Nick at work along with the treasurer to make our jobs a little bit easier, sharing documents instead of printing them, scanning them, putting in a USB drive or emailing them all. Or I've been helping the treasurer right now with invoices, fire invoices, and with having to share them. They aren't correlating properly since I was contacting with the deputy and I don't have access. So we are just trying to migrate to a new email address because Tim did make it aware that the email addresses that we have right now aren't valid because they're not ending in .gov. So looking forward, he made it known coming election season on this vote that we are going to be needing these emails in order to set up for elections because we wouldn't be compliant if we didn't.
Okay, Amanda, I'm confused with this because on the board, we do have .gov addresses that can be used and have been used. Those addresses have been given out to people to use. So I guess I would like a little more information from Mr. Whiteside, what exactly we need to do since we already have those addresses. And we can use them, so can we get some kind of a clarification for him why we need to spend this money and do something when we already have addresses?
I can definitely get more clarification.
Thank you, if you could make that more clear to us so that we have something that we could go by. Us as board members don't have .gov, but there are addresses in that office that are .gov that have been used and could be used. I don't know if they just don't migrate with the other one. I don't know.
So the way we described it was the chair and the clerk and maybe the treasurer have already existing .gov, if you want to call it names out there, but we're not using them right now. I don't know what the change was, but it sounded like about a year ago this was noticed that this change happened. The state system for elections does not take .town for an email address. So come October, we will lose access to the state election system. So this has to change no matter what. And what I'm saying is, to your point, these .govs, from my understanding, exist out there.
They exist and they've been used.
Yeah.
And they've been used, so it's not like they're not dead. They're not dead.
Right.
But yeah, the question is, I mean, does somebody support the .gov? And they can, but they're not right now. Is that what's happening?
There's 3 separate emails for each of us. So for the town clerk, the deputy clerk, and treasurer, there's 3 emails that are out there that instead of having 3 separate emails, he's wanting to migrate them all to one under the .gov instead of one being .town or HudsonWisconsinTown.com. So right now there's 3 emails floating out there, and I believe they all go to the same inbox, but we're just trying to make it one email so it'll be easier, and then this will also give us
migrating off of an on-premise Exchange server to online Microsoft 365, which I would fully support and recommend, given that I've had many clients that I've done that for, because on-premise Exchange servers are going to be very expensive to maintain.
And right now on my computer, anytime I log in, I log into the clerk's information. So the deputy has no access to any of that information.
Not 100% clear to me exactly what's going on here and how the primary domains and everything are going to be set up, and I probably know more about it than I'm reading more into it than I need to. But I think it just would make sense to move forward with that Exchange server decommissioning and getting all of the primaries to adapt the email address. And I think that's what it's asking for. What I can't quite glean out of here is what the cost of the migration is.
So it looks like on the back, I think there was a kind of range about high-end, I don't know the hours offhand, but I remember the total being like $2,800 for this, because it's work that's going to go over the course of a few days for Tim and possibly one other staff from Sunderland to do it. He did say the conversion itself will take about a month. So I'm not deep into the IT world, but this sounds more than just clicking a couple buttons and it flips over. When everything we have being held in record, I think it's great that Tim would be doing it instead of a phone call with us saying, hey, let's walk through it, because we have years and years of emails and stuff in there that we can't lose.
Are the board members also going to give it a .gov?
Do you know if they're going all .gov or is it
I think they are trying to transfer everything to .gov.
And is the $2,800, is that the max? Is that
I believe that was the high-end cost that.
Yeah.
It sounded like I think it's the very last page about the middle, maybe low middle.
Okay, so do I have a motion on this? I'll make a motion that we complete the migration to .gov as proposed to us, including all the details necessary.
Second.
Okay, any discussion on it? Okay, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Okay, it's unanimous, passed. Okay, and then our last item here before future agenda, discussion and action on authorizing $500 expense for Hudson Senior Center Group. We've always had that in our budget and do that every year. Does anybody want to comment on that? Okay.
Yeah, I'll make a quick comment on that. So I put this up here because I was approached by someone from the Hudson Senior Center Group who wanted to express their thanks for that, noting that, for their group that doesn't go a long way, but a little bit, they definitely appreciate. And they just came by to see, one, kind of checking in on us here as their staff, introduce themselves to me, but also just wondered if we were interested in doing that still. So I do have a history with that because that predates me. But they were very open to sharing, if requested, kind of what they do. I know they do a lot of trips. I don't know the exact number of how many they have, but they are losing their kind of space and connection with Agave-Go-Go, I believe. I don't think they have a physical building that they really call home. So maybe kind of a soft spot. They were just out looking, making those connections again. So, but I'm glad you have a history of that, but wanted to bring that up and see what you guys thought. I know it's typically one of those things under 1,000 that John or I can approve, but again, I just wanted to bring it for you guys.
Did you happen to notice if it's a budget item, a budget line?
I can't recall off the top of my head. I think John had to leave that tonight.
Do I have a motion on it?
I'll make a motion authorizing the $500 expense to the Hudson Senior Center Group.
Do I have a second?
it,
Pay that system office expense, right?
Correct, that's going to be under $50
Yeah.
with shipping.
The fire chief has offered to come to our board meeting on June 6th and give an update on the research that they've been doing on the referendum and answer any questions that we have. So if we could get that on the June agenda, that would be great.
Potholes in the past, we've taken this map essentially, divided up amongst the 4 supervisors, and basically given each of us a territory. We've got colors here, we've got 5 colors, so that works. So we should decide that. Who's going to take that?
well, being where most of us live, I'll take the blue section.
Okay.
I'll take Burke.
Okay. And gold or green, Don?
I'll take green.
Gold. Okay. Okay, anything else for your agenda?
Just nothing on the agenda, but just letting people know that shouldering is going to start in the blue section. And if you see any problems in any of the other sections, to please notify the clerk so that we can make sure that St. Clair County does hit those hard sections, and there was some identified in the purple section. And we do know that on Highway 12, that will be closed on Monday, that we're just going to be,
Railroad.
the railroad bridge, they're closing it on Monday. It's just a housekeeping item.
Any other comments before we adjourn? Do I have a motion to adjourn?
One quick one before you
Yes.
start.
Okay.
I was made aware, I talked to Supervisor Blank about this, but Old Highway 35 of an agreement that the board had in the past with the business out there to fill in the gravel with their machines, maintain that road, and then we pay for the gravel, and that's about it. They cover the labor. Just wanted to put that out there. If that's something that's already long-standing, we can authorize that. If you want that to be an agenda item, just let me know and I can add it to your meeting.
Yeah, that, you're talking about north of North Hudson or Baumeister is, and so basically they use their equipment, and so, we just pay for the gravel, and they grade it.
Yep.
Don, remember anything on that? I think that's standard.
Get it back on the memory banks.
Okay. I don't think we have an issue with it, so.
So no agenda, or we can just authorize it?
Well, do we need to put it on the agenda?
We possibly do. I would like to go back in some of the minutes to find out when we approved that. And it was a long-standing understanding, but I think we did make a motion for it to be for X amount of time. And I do think we have to
Let's see if we
redo
can
the
find
issue.
it.
See if we can find the minutes for that. Where we authorized.
Okay. So you can send it to agenda. Got it. Good to go. Thanks.
Terrific. Okay, anything else? Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
To adjourn.
Okay.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We're adjourned.